Good evening. Welcome to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing I'm going to ask for is agenda changes.
Mr. Mayor, under new business, we've asked to add the following three items. The first being Halloween Howl street closure request and resolution 2025-15 attached to that. And then also consideration of the two fund agreements with the Halstead Community Foundation.
So those two fund agreements are two separate items, right?
Yeah, we can handle them under the same thing too. It'll take two motions though.
Right. All right, any questions, council? If not, we'll open up for public forum. If anybody's here to address the council, please step forward to the podium, give us your name and address, and let us know why you're here.
Do you have to? Yes. I'm Betty Smith. I live here in town at 824 West 3rd. I have a question for the council. It's been mentioned several times that Concurrent had invested $1.4 million in that project. I would like to know, where is that $1.4 million?
In the lease agreement, in the studies that they did, and in the engineering that they were doing. It was money they spent with their people.
Okay. Also, we also charged them a lease for that land for almost 2 years.
Sure did.
Where'd that money go to?
A big portion of it went to legal fees on part of that, right, Ethan?
Yeah, it was general fund revenue. It's in the city's general
Yeah.
fund.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear, because the way it sounds, when you post stuff, it's like they invested $1.4 million in Halstead itself, and it made it sound like Halstead got that money.
No.
And we want to know, where did that money
So
go
that was
to?
the engineering studies, the preliminary studies that they did and the preliminary engineering that they did with their people.
Okay.
Anybody else? Seeing no movement from the gallery, I'll go ahead and close the public forum and ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, after reviewing the consent agenda as submitted, I would make a motion to approve it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda stands as approved. There is no public hearing tonight, so we'll move on to unfinished business. We have one item, that's distressed property at 217 Main. What do you have for us on that, Ethan?
We were hopeful the interested party in the building would have their plan this evening, but I don't believe they are here, so
Have you been in contact? Have you heard from them?
not since sending them the reminder that it was on the agenda for this evening, but didn't hear anything back from that.
How do you want to proceed on this, council?
Table it. Yeah, I would, not that I want to put something like this off, but I don't want to own the building either if we don't have to. So I say table it until the next.
So we'll continue this to the next meeting. I'll need a motion to do that.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to continue the distressed property at 217 Main until our next scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to continue the distressed property hearing for 217 Main to the next regular meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is continued. Now we'll move on to new business, and the first item under new business tonight is a stand presentation. This is a tobacco product-free parks, trails, and recreational spaces. I believe we have representation here tonight. Please let us know who you are and what you're trying to accomplish.
Hello, my name is Russell Schrader. I'm a junior at Halstead High School. I've been a STAND member for 3 years. STAND is a club that focuses on youth-led substance use prevention. We share messaging and plan events with our peers to encourage making healthy decisions and stay away from substances like alcohol and nicotine. STAND has clubs in 8 other schools in our region, and in the past, STAND has helped pass many policies, including T21 and other tobacco-free parks policies in surrounding communities to keep our youth healthy. That's what brings us here today. Piper Stern.
Hi, I'm Piper. I'm a senior at Halstead, and this is my 4th year in stand. I'm on the stand board, and we came to talk about the tobacco-free parks, and we want to enforce them in Halstead because I think it's a good idea to make sure like our youth is not seeing that tobacco is something that is normalized and that a lot of people use. And then if they like go to the park and they see that like nobody's smoking, they won't like think like, oh, I should not do that whenever I'm older because it's not a normal thing. And then it makes sure that it's setting a clear standard that smoking and using tobacco products is not okay.
Can I ask a question? You mentioned several communities that have this. Who are they? Do you know right offhand? Sorry.
Ashton, Newton.
Alini Albrecht with the Health Department. In Harvey County, it's Heston and most recently Newton. We did talk to the Newton police. At first, they were like, I don't know if this is something that we can do, but it's self-enforced. It's just so that people see the signage and are discouraged to do it. And I've asked the police, have you had problems with this? And they have not. So it's just, we want to change the norm. It's very, people think it's okay to smoke outside, and people now think it's okay to vape outside, inside, everywhere. And we want to give the message to the kids for sure, but also have a safe place for pregnant women, older adults, people with disabilities, with cancer. We just want to protect. We want to make Halstead a healthier place,
Okay.
and put the standards higher. Any other questions?
I guess my question would be to our law enforcement and for our Parks and Rec director there, since that definitely impacts him and the staff. So.
Probably legal counsel and weighing in on if that would be enforceable in an open park as well.
Depends on what you mean by enforceable. In our ability to prohibit it? Or go up and ticket someone, or what are we talking about? That was actually for you, Chief. I'm asking what you're asking.
That depends what the council, I guess, and deem as the rules. That would be.
Well, my feeling on it is I don't think it's a bad idea. I just would like to know just a little bit more from them and get a little more info before we make any kind of decision like that. I'm not opposed to it, don't get me wrong, but I would like to have more input from the staff. This is kind of their realm more than our realm. Not that it's not important to the town or not important for what I think of it, but I would like to get their input before we pass something of that nature, just because. Absolutely.
I'm Grant Williams, I'm the Halstead Parks and Recreation Director. I think the one thing that this would do, and the enforcement is not my issue, so that I'm gonna pass off to the smarter minds in the room. I think it makes, as they mentioned, the awareness of the guideline is more how it would impact us. Our biggest place that we deal with issues, and they're not even issues, because we've made it fairly clear without, actually having something in hand, is pool house. We've trained those people that want to do this to leave the pool area. They tend to go to the parking lot and get away from the kids if they want to smoke or vape or whatever it is. I think these signage would give us a little more societal awareness of the standard we want. But again, I've totally skirted the enforcement issue on purpose. And that would be up to legal and PD. So as far as signage goes, I'm all for it, just to make people aware of what expectations are and what we would like to see happen, even if it's not an enforceable issue. I'd like the signage to express what our standard is.
Obviously, this is just, I don't want to do all the talking, but.
No, go ahead.
My biggest thing is like, if we do it for one park, we gotta about do it for every one of them. And the car show, things like that would come into the community, and how that would affect, you can't, I find it hard to legislate a 60-year-old person that has a car, whether they can sit there and smoke outside or not. I don't necessarily think that they have to, but I think it's pretty hard to do that for us. At the pool, I think we should, by all means, if it's at the ballpark where if the kids are playing summer ball or whatever. I know they do it at the school, they can't have it on there for sure. So I don't have a problem with that. It would be that type of thing. That would be the catcher. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that when we are trying to bring awareness to that, we also want to make sure that we address that the majority of people that do use tobacco products are on a lower socioeconomic bracket, if I could say. And so we don't want to penalize anyone. What we really want is culture change. We want the signage to be visible. So sorry. We want the signage to be visible so that people are regulating themselves. So it's not, we don't want for people to get fines or be trespassed necessarily. We don't want to bring more work. We don't want to bring more work, so sorry, to the police or the city or anything. We just want really the culture change. Like I was telling them, it used to be normal for people to smoke in restaurants, right? And it was a big fight for us to remove that. But now, if you think about it, today it would be insane. So we don't want people getting in trouble whatsoever. We just want the norm to be different going on forward. So, and I think that is what the appendix reflects to, is no punishment, just peace and love.
How long has this organization been established? Years? How long?
Stan started in
Yes.
2016.
Okay.
Yes.
Where did it originate?
It originated in Heston, actually. We started as a team called YAR, Youth as Resources. And then through funding and a coalition called Defy in Harvey County and Newton, we started growing as Stand in 2 different schools in Harvey County. So we actually have a team in each school in Harvey County. And we just added a few teams in McPherson County last year and one in Marion County as well. So.
Josh.
I guess I'll add too, if the goal is self-regulation, I don't see a problem with it. If you're putting signs up, it just would have to be the understanding of that if somebody doesn't decide to self-regulate in Scout Park and they're smoking in the gazebo, that it's not something we're going to go and take them to jail, write them a ticket for.
No.
Naturally. It would be a matter of pushing that out to the general public as well. It's an encouragement, not a law per se.
From the, Brad, from your point of view, what do you think would be prudent here? Just hold off for a meeting or just go, or?
That one is kind of up to you in terms of your comfort level.
Sure.
What's been said is, I don't disagree with at all. I think in terms of the other instances where I've been involved with where it's been discussed, self-regulation part of it is what's most important. Trying to raise awareness, trying to develop a different culture. That I have no issue with at all. And putting up signage for that purpose, that's not a problem as far as I'm concerned. Where I started to get into the questions that I was directing at the chief when he was asking about it, is if we're thinking, okay, we're gonna go in and tell someone, see the sign, get out, or we have those kinds of issues, that would be more problematic in today's environment and under the regulatory environment in which we operate. I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but it would involve a lot more than just passing what we're doing here.
Right. Well, it's been my experience that honest people will comply. And I support I support the project wholeheartedly.
Have there been any negative results from this program being established anywhere? Any incidences from public shaming? Somebody's smoking and there's a sign there and all of a sudden there's cell phones out and they're putting them on the internet, trying to shame them. Is any of this going on? I mean, I would definitely be against that. I'm not a smoker, but does that go on?
Not that we've seen. We haven't seen any public shaming or anything like that. The only issues per se that we have seen were originally when trying to pass the policy. Just people that would typically smoke in those outdoor spaces, saying some rude comments and things that, because they didn't want the policy to pass. But on the other end, we haven't seen any like negative comments about the policy being passed, or anything like that, any negative interaction.
See, I don't use tobacco and
George, I see it just like my oldest daughter has a concealed carry permit. If she walks up to a store and it says no concealed carry, she goes back to the car and takes care of the issue
Sure.
and comes into the store.
Sure.
I'd like to think we could have a culture like that with the use of tobacco products.
where people are respectful and such, but if there's any of that public shaming that would go on, I would want this program removed. I wouldn't want it in town. I wouldn't want anybody being shamed over because they're chewing tobacco and, spitting in a bush or something. That's no good either.
Absolutely. Everybody makes their own choices, but we haven't seen any shaming or anything public like that at all, or heard anything about it at all, so.
Well, if there's no, it's pretty clear in the resolution that there's really no fines or anything.
Yeah, this isn't,
It's just and I read it before I came, but I read it fast, so it's one of those kind of thing. But I don't really have a problem with it, the way it's written. So,
Well, Mr. Mayor, if
that's
there's.
my opinion, Mr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Halstead's always been a health-oriented community anyway. This kind of makes sense to me. And we're really just trying to regulate the public areas of the city, so I don't have an issue with it.
Well, we've all weighed in, and unless there's any more questions or discussion, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-12, a tobacco product-free policy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-12. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those same sign, that resolution stands as adopted. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Could we take a picture of them up here real quick?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm just glad we got you to talk because I was gonna call you out before it was over with.
I was ready for it.
What do we need to do with the second item here?
What second
City of
item?
Halstead tobacco-free parks, trails, recreation spaces.
it's attached as
Is that, or is it incorporated?
technically the resolution will incorporate it because it's an
Okay.
appendix.
All right,
Okay.
that's why I asked.
We just wanted to be clear that there was a policy in addition to the resolution.
Okay.
And I guess
All right, are we all clear on that? Good to go.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our next item and, a good one, the 2025-2026 winter season natural gas firm transport agreement. We know we need this.
Yeah, this has largely become a housekeeping issue since 2022. Just as the city enter in to agreement with KMGA, who enters into an agreement with Southern Star on our behalf for firm transport during the winter months, which just guarantees the city firm gas supply in the event we have an extenuating circumstance. The downside to this, if you will, is that we do have to estimate how much gas we need, and so there is the off chance if temperatures are warmer or gas consumption's not there, that the city does end up obligating natural gas loads that we don't have. However, we do our best to look at our previous 3 years of consumption, look at, the weather forecast as much as we can going into winter and make an educated guess there. So again, this is something hopefully is not new to any of you that we do every year to make sure we have that firm supply in place for the winter months.
We operated for a while without this agreement, didn't we?
Pre-winter storm Uri, yes.
Yeah, that was kind of precarious there.
Actually didn't realize we needed it at the time, didn't we?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we operated basically under other cities within KMGA's firm transport, but where that becomes an issue is when everybody needs 100% of their supply. As far as fees and that kind of thing, actually, it doesn't increase fees as far as tariffs or something in those operational flow orders. It just means we at least know come the month of January that, you know, every day we have 931 MMBTU that is guaranteed to come to our gates, so.
Mr. Mayor, if there's some more questions or comments, I'd make a motion to approve and authorize the mayor's signature on the transportation service agreement with Kansas Municipal Gas Agency and Southern Star Central Gas Pipeline.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the firm transport agreement with KMGA and Southern Star. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That passes. Next item on the agenda is industrial park property purchases.
Thank you.
Want to preference that, Ethan, or would you like me to? Because I'm pretty familiar with that one.
Yeah. No, this is, again, something that's, the city's been working on, and the opportunity has presented itself to purchase the underlying property that's underneath the rail spur that is north of Industrial Road. And as you all know, we've had some derailment incidents in the past 6 years where it's necessitated that heavy equipment gets on and fixes that, and we tear up a ton of private property responding to that. So there's 2 different contracts with the 2 current property owners that essentially would bring all the underlying real estate under the rail spur, which we currently just have an easement on, into city ownership. And it's just shy of 2.5 acres. And I will gladly answer any other questions you have about it.
One of them is the one behind old EMV, correct?
Yeah, and it,
And then Martin's, where it would
yeah, we're back
come
here.
into there. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to clean all that up, so.
We've been working on that for quite a while.
And it basically has the property lines established at the 20-foot easement line and runs parallel to basically the line of the spur, and then west and north.
This way, if we tear up this property in the future, it's our property we're tearing up rather than someone else's property.
Correct.
Yeah.
Also, if we know the curve is undersized
Yes.
for modern rail, and so it also means we would be in control of the real estate we would need to correct that curve
Yes.
at some point in the future. So,
Well, we've got 2 motions here, Mr. Mayor. I'd make a motion to approve the purchase contract for approximately 1.919 acres for real property with Laverne A. Ediger Trust.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the property purchase with the Ediger Trust. All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. That one carries.
Mr. Mayor, also make a motion to approve the purchase contracts for approximately .408 acres for real property with Lonnie Martin.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the property purchase with Lonnie Martin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That carries. It's gonna be nice to get that rail spur cleaned up on all the legal descriptions and everything. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the Halstead Brick Street Art Fair. CMB exception, so that's cereal malt beverage, and then resolution 2025-13. They didn't have representation here tonight.
No, because I told them they probably didn't need to come since they kind of requested everything last meeting. They just need a resolution passed by the governing body allowing for the open consumption for their festival, that in order to apply for a caterer's license with the state of Kansas. Same thing they did last year. The only difference really is that they're moving it from in front of the library to in front of City Hall, but everything else is
These
the same.
street closures are part of that, right?
That was all we did all of that last meeting for the Brick Street
Well, I missed that meeting.
You did. You should have been here. No, I'm just kidding.
I was enjoying where I was at.
I know. So yeah, everything else was approved last meeting. They just, Grace Hill had not gotten everything to them that they needed to get the resolution prepared for the last meeting, so.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-13, an authorization for alcohol consumption area.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-13. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. That stands as adopted. Now, next item is the Kansas Barn Sale Special Event Application, or Resolution 2025-14.
Excuse me, in your packet, you have the special event application for the Kansas Barn Sale, which is holding their event in Riverside Park on October 4th. And they're basically only requesting use of the Riverside Park area. So they still fill out an application even though they don't have formal street requests related to that.
That little area to the east of Hertzler, or the highway there that generally gets used for parking, are they gonna use that too?
Yeah, we allow that as long as weather conditions permit that it's a good place to park.
Will we be getting those signs from the county, those illuminated signs for people coming into town to slow down?
Yeah, we'll put in the request. It's always subject to
Sure.
whether the county has them in use for something else, but yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, motion to approve resolution 2025-14, a resolution providing for the temporary closure of public right-of-way, thoroughfares, and public access roadways on and along Riverside Park in the city of Halstead for the times and dates specified herein.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-14. All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. That one stands as approved. Now we'll move on to our next item, and that's fire department equipment purchase and disposition. I believe Andy and Doug are here. Who's gonna speak?
Doug didn't jump up, so I.
He didn't.
We're going over the Quint that has some issues going on with it, and we have been discussing since, I believe, April work sessions on various options on replacing it, looking at various used apparatus. As you guys know, we've called on a few of them right after they're posted, and when we got a hold of them, we're getting told there's already deposits on them. And some of the other ones have not been comfortable with. I'm afraid if we went that route, we would be back into the position where we're at now, where we bought something used and a couple of years down, we're back to having to start pushing money out into the used equipment. As you'll note on your agenda report, we picked up the Quint in 2018 with Chief Van Scoik. He picked it up at $15,000. We've added just over $50,000 into it already, and we have some major expenses potential coming up into it in the next year. We have contacted Faust Fire. We have a bid in front of you on the new engine. We've talked about it in various work sessions. You guys have a copy of the bid spec sheets and the quotations on it. I don't want to get too far into it unless there's questions, because we've went over this quite a bit. It is a 25-year engine. We're going back with an engine, not another aerial. Size of our department, the size of our buildings, we can't really justify spending the money on another aerial unit. Aerial units come with significant increased maintenance every 5 years due to the ladder system on that. We felt that a second engine, this would become the primary first out engine. Engine 22 would become our secondary engine that we have at this point. City Manager Reimer and myself have visited with the finance people. We've
went over all of the quotes and the spec sheet. So at this point, I'll filter questions as opposed to trying to guess who wants to know what, because I've got a lot of data here and could spend an hour, and I don't want to waste your evening and all the people behind me time.
Thank you, Andy, for bringing it in. I won't say that I kind of pushed this forward a little bit, but I've encouraged it and have for a while. The engine or the Quint that we're replacing was actually a replacement for something else that we had. The engine that we have now is basically a Grant engine, engine 22, and it is a 2006 for just information. And the Quint is a 2001. If NFPA requires engines to be about 20 years old, 25 years old, to give us points for ISO.
Less than 20 or 25.
Yeah, less than. And if you don't have that, it affects the insurance rate, especially on industrial and for businesses. And I want to really emphasize that and Andy can throw in whatever he wants to throw in here, but that's the important part. The other thing is, if you have any kind of industrial in town, they want you to have 3,500 GPS pumping capacity.
Right.
And this also meets that. The other thing is, Andy knows, and a lot of us know, that we always put money aside every year for different pieces of apparatus. This is a major one, obviously. So the money gets put aside, and it's a way of purchasing the thing in, how many years are we thinking there, Andy?
7, I think, wasn't it?
Seven,
Six.
six or
We went with
seven.
6.
And spreading it out so the transfer that we make into the equipment fund goes into that anyway. The problem with waiting is every year these things go up. My first engine I bought in '95 was $135,000. An average engine now is anywhere from 600 or 500,000 for a 2-door regular commercial cab, and probably the average for a custom with a 4-man cab and all that, or 6-man, depending on what this is around 800,000. And Andy's, what he brought to us was is a model where you can't change a lot of specs on it. It meets our specs. It just, you can't add or you can't subtract a lot.
Right.
Correct.
Just to kind of touch base on that real quick. If we spec, excuse me, if we were to send out bid sheets and spec an engine to our specs, we're looking at 850 plus days before delivery. With Faust Fire, they're the ones that built our tender, so I'm good with the company. They have seen that issue, and they built a new plant where what I call, they make a cookie cutter engine. I get an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper of, these are the options you can take on or put off, that is it. Other than that, this is how the engine's built. To touch on Jim's numbers, the cheapest custom engine at this point is going to be closer to the $1 million mark. I actually watched some hearings going on the other day where they were challenging some of the builders on some of the bigger companies on the price hikes, because the Ann Arbor chief, they bought an engine 4 years ago for $694,000. They were ordering the identical engine. You've got the specs and everything, and it was coming in at $1.2 million for the exact same engine that they had bought 4 years earlier. Faust Fire out of Georgia, they're not catering to these large departments. They're trying to more of the medium-sized, smaller departments where they can still get good equipment out there but hold pricing down. With our bid here, just so you guys know, if we go past October, we're probably looking at a $14,000 price increase, and that's from Spartan from the chassis manufacturer. They did give us warning the chassis prices will be going up at the end of October.
That's pretty normal.
I have no questions. We've been talking about this for a while and know we've been needing it, so.
Yeah.
And just for clarification, everything that's on the Quint can move over to the new engine. The only things that we need to make a couple changes on is the intake valves on the Quint are all automatic computerized part of the pump. We went back with manual valves because should something go wrong, it's cheaper to replace it. If we lose an automatic valve, we're going to spend $10,000 on replacing or rebuilding it. We've got a few gate valves and things that we've got to buy to go on the new engine.
God forbid you lose an automatic valve while you're fighting a fire. I'd almost rather see manual valves on those things anyway.
Well, the only reason it had it is because it come with them.
Yeah.
And they're all operated with the air system, and one thing goes wrong, it just cascades it from there, so.
The other thing I'd like to point out before we vote on it is Halstead's received 2 grants for fire engines, or an engine and a tender. For a city to get to our size is pretty rare, if not unheard of. And grant funding for those kind of things is kind of, especially after the last legislative bill, is kind of nil anymore for the most part.
Well, and I think
you
it's
can
important
get
to
them.
point out to the public that with our ISO rating of a 3, that's unheard of for a department our size. And if we don't keep our equipment less than that 25-year age mark, we could potentially lose that ISO rating, which it would go up.
And people need to recognize what that ISO rating means to your property taxes,
Well, it's more your property insurance.
property insurance also.
Just for those that don't know, ISO stands for Insurance Service Organization. They're the ones that, it's not just a grade. They come out here and inspect the equipment. There's one day they will come out and do timing, see what hydrant flows are. It's not just to come in and look in paperwork. They actually come out. We don't get to pick the hydrant. They will pick the hydrant that we're to hook to. They will check the flow to that hydrant. It's a pretty lengthy process, about a week long, when they're out here evaluating and grading everything.
And they do it
And
every 5 years.
like Jim said, this affects commercial and industrial a lot more than residential. It does affect residential, but it hits all of our commercial businesses the heaviest.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to accept bid from Fouts Brothers Incorporated not to exceed $615,000 for a FB 94 pumper, an authorization for city manager and emergency services director to sign contract sales agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of this FB 94 pumper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That carries. Before you leave, Andy, while we're talking about 800-day lead times, what can you tell me about our new ambulance?
We have contact from the engineering department out at North Carolina, actually. The bid sheets and everything that we built and went through our salespeople are in their engineering office right now. They're validating and going through line by line to make sure things weren't missed, everything was cleaned up and ready to go. We are scheduled for build. I don't have a date yet. I don't even want to say it because every time I do, it gets pushed
Don't
back.
jinx it. Yeah.
Because there's still hurricanes coming in, and I know what it will happen. So last time we got pushed back was because they had a foot of mud inside their plant. So that was mudslide that came down off that mountain. But we are still looking late first quarter of next year before that comes online.
Okay, I was just curious. It seems like we've been waiting for a long time for that.
Yeah, they, the end of August, they came out, we did the pre-build on it and double-checked everything. At one point, we did have a chassis They did move that chassis into the line and said we will probably be on a 27 chassis when they build, or a 26 chassis when they build ours, excuse me, on the date.
All right, anybody else have any questions for Andy?
And there are several parts to this.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Multiple
If you
motions.
wanted to talk on the second part
Okay,
of
sorry.
this motion here.
My iPad was
Background.
dead, so I didn't have it up tonight.
Yeah, so as Director Lowe alluded to, we have met, both with Fouts's finance arm. Also reached out for private placement of a lease purchase agreement. Found the most competitive rate is going to be with Halstead Bank. So keeping the lease purchase agreement local. We're asking for you all to approve execution or for me to finish negotiating that. Some of it, we won't be able to finalize until we get, a serial number for the chassis, and move forward. But basically, we're looking to, the lease purchase would have a principal amount of $500,000 and then be on a 6-year term, which puts the payment firmly, as Councilmember Van Scoyk pointed to, within the realm of what we built in budgetarily going forward. It keeps that a livable amount for us, but helps spread that to get this purchase done.
I will add, Halstead Bank did go 1% less than the municipal leasing company that the fire company uses, so they would keep it local.
Very good.
Awesome.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Mayor, make a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute lease purchase agreement with the Halstead Bank related to the acquisition of FB 94 pumper from Fouts Brothers with a principal amount not to exceed $500,000 and not to exceed a 6-year term loan.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the lease purchase contract with Halstead Bank for the FB 94 pumper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. Thanks, Andy.
Last thing we have are disposition of the Quint. And just for a cleanup, I had typed Quint 21, that was a typo, it should say 23. We only have one Quint, so it's pretty obvious. But I just, for purposes, we put 21, and if we disposition 23, I don't want somebody saying, well, what's this other one you're talking about? It's the same truck, but it'll be Quint 23. We wanted to go with Brindle Mountain. They do used fire apparatus sales. They do charge a 10% fee for any truck they sell under 200,000. No, we're not going to get anywhere near anything like that, just to
I was kind of
clarify.
holding out for 4.
But Purple Wave's 10% as well, but we're at the realm of a bidder with Purple Wave. So we might sell it for 80,000 or we might sell it for 5,000. It just depends on what the auction does at the time. With Brindle Mountain, we set a price, visited with Ethan, talked with the people at Brindle Mountain. We're going to set it at 65,000 to begin with, see where it goes from there. There will be some agencies out there that are looking for things like this, that understand that there are going to be some services needed on that truck when they buy it. We've been upfront with some of the things that we've looked at, and they're still comfortable with that.
They're a good company.
Well, they're the one, yeah. We've sold an ambulance through them, bought a couple engines through them.
We sold that one engine through it. Yeah.
Yep.
The one that went to California?
Yep.
I still smile about that one.
Mr. Mayor, I make motion to authorize the Emergency Services Director to list current Halstead fire apparatus identified as Quint 23 with Brindle Mountain fire apparatus for sale for $65,000 with authorization for city manager and emergency service director to be able to negotiate final sale price to execute sales, documentation, and disposition of the equipment should price be agreed upon.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to list Quint 23 for sale with Brindle Mountain Fire Services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries.
I am done.
You're done?
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. All right, now we got some additional items we've added under new business, and the first one is the street closings and special event application for Halloween Howl. what do we need to discuss there, Ethan, or do we just need to approve this?
I think,
Oh,
I think Tessa's here to
Tessa can
answer
come
any
and
questions on the
discuss
street
about it.
closure, but yeah, you have their application and request.
Tessa Willen with Chamber of Commerce. You have the application and the request every year Halloween Howl on Main Street. We're looking to, I actually haven't seen the forms, so I believe it's 5 to 8 that we're looking to close the street for the parade and trick or treating. Any questions?
Nope.
Great.
Thank you, Tessa.
Thank you.
Well, we see this every year, we know what it's about, so with that, Mr. Mayor, I'd make motion to approve resolution 2020-15, providing for temporary closure, public right-of-ways, thoroughfares, or public access roadways on and along the 200, 400 block Main Street in the city of Halstead for the times, dates specified herein.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-15 for Halloween Howl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That resolution is adopted. Julie, this is a draft copy, but I did sign it.
I'll get one while you're in a sec.
Okay. That takes care of Halloween Howl. And next, we're gonna bring for consideration fund agreement. This is the one with the Community Foundation regarding the golf course. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can
And
do golf
parks.
course or parks, whichever one you want to do first. But essentially, this background for both of them is the same. In the last Patterson matching campaign that the Community Foundation, the council authorized setting up two specific purpose funds, one related to parks improvement, the other one related to Wedgewood Golf Course and improvements there. And you have the two MOU we would enter into with CKCF, which is the parent that Halstead Community Foundation is an affiliate of. Brad has reviewed these and didn't have any comments or requested change, so we would just seek approval of both of those to finish setting up those funds. And as you can see, it just clarifies, that, as we've talked about, that these funds will remain expendable, subject to the discretion of the governing body, and they are designated for a specific purpose, but then also will meet the threshold for charitable giving, should people want to make charitable gifts to either of those specific purposes.
I think this is a great program.
Mr. Mayor, I would say one thing. I lied to Ethan. I do have one comment, usually I do. Under section D of the paragraph labeled Roman numeral 7, it's the one thing I always point out to every organization that enters into one of these. The exercise of the variance power subject to the provisions of the paragraph 7A and B above. The board for CKCF has the power to modify any restriction or condition on the distribution of funds that we may have set up. In those instances, generally, I've always been a little bit troubled because they have exclusive power to do that and you can't veto it, even though these are funds that are being generated here for the benefit of this community or one of its purposes. On the other side of that, however, after multiple conversations, the general thought there is they are attempting always to comply and maintain the appropriate not-for-profit element of this and the IRS good standing. So they reserve that right with 5 days' notice to you as the establisher to make those changes. It doesn't mean the funds wouldn't still be available to you for distribution in another fashion. But if something changes about the purpose for which they're intended to be used or the distribution source, that would create some concern about whether it is going to meet the standards under the Internal Revenue Code, that's why they do that. I wish there were a better approach, to be candid, but really is probably the most expeditious way they can guarantee these funds are going to go where they should, the way they should, and we're going to see that that happens. So I would just like to make sure every entity knows that.
All right, well, thanks for that explanation.
With that, I'll start with the, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to establish the designated fund agreement for the Halstead Parks Improvement Fund, Improvement Fund Expendable Fund.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this MOU with the Community Foundation for the Halstead Parks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to designate the fund agreement for the Wedgewood Golf Course Improvement Fund, the expendable fund.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the MOU with Community Foundation regarding Wedgewood Golf Course. All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. That one carries. That does finish up our agenda under new business. We do have 2 executive sessions on the agenda tonight, and I would entertain the motion for the first one now.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session to discuss contract negotiations, consult with the city attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged, attorney-client relationship exemption, KSA 75-4319B2, to include the city manager and the city attorney, to reconvene at 8:20.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. We are in executive session. You want to move to the room behind your office, Ethan, or? We are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Not hearing from the council, I would entertain the motion for our second executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session to discuss review of a city employee and maintain employee privacy rights, personnel matter of non-elected personnel, exemption, KSA 754319B1, to include the city manager, city attorney, to reconvene at 8:30.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to enter back into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. We are in executive session.
Okay.
We are back from that executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Hearing nothing from the council, we're gonna move on to the report section. And before I ask the governing body for their comments, I do have two proclamations I'm going to deliver first. And we'll get them taken care of. So the first one is a Public Natural Gas Week, and it's a proclamation in honor of our local community-owned natural gas utility. Whereas we, the citizens of Halstead, Kansas, place high value on local control over community services and therefore have chosen to operate a community-owned, locally controlled, not-for-profit natural gas utility. And as consumers and owners of our natural gas utility, have a direct say in utility operations and policies. And whereas the city of Halstead provides our homes, businesses, farms, social service, and local government agencies with reliable, efficient, and cost-effective natural gas, employing sound business practices designed to ensure the best possible service at a not-for-profit rate. And whereas the city of Halstead is a valuable community asset that contributes substantially to the well-being of local citizens through energy efficiency, customer service, environmental protection, economic development, and safety awareness. And whereas the natural gas utility industry is changing and will continue to change over the next few years, with the goal of allowing individual consumers to choose their power supplier while continuing service from their current natural gas distributor. And whereas this concept of customer choice in generation is a new one that will have a broad impact on and affect all parts of the natural gas utility industry, including the consumer utility relationship. And whereas this community's natural gas system, the city of Halstead's first and only purpose is to work in partnership with its customer owners to furnish an essential public service and the best customer service to community citizens at lower cost rates. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of Halstead will continue to work to ensure that consumers benefit from any changes in the natural gas utility industry, just as it has since the utility was created to serve all the citizens of Halstead. And be it further resolved that the week of October 5th through the 11th be designated Natural Gas Week in order to honor the city of Halstead for its contributions to the community and make its consumer owners, policymakers, and employees more aware of the city of Halstead's overall contributions to their well-being. And be it further resolved that our community joins hands with other public natural gas systems in the United States that ensure cost-cutting competition for natural gas customers through local community ownership. So that's our Natural Gas Week proclamation. And I have a Fire Prevention Week proclamation too. Whereas the city of Halstead is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all of those living and working in our community. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk. And whereas lithium-ion batteries power many of the devices we use every day, including phones, laptops, e-bikes, scooters, tools, and toys, and these batteries can pose a fire risk if not used, charged, or disposed of properly. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safety, Lithium-Ion Batteries in Your Home, works to educate the public about important steps to reduce the risk of fire when using lithium-ion batteries, with a focus on 3 key actions: buy, charge, and recycle safely. And whereas residents are encouraged to purchase batteries and devices from reputable sources, use charging equipment that is certified and appropriate for the device, and recycle batteries at authorized recycling centers to prevent fires. And whereas the dedicated members of fire and emergency services departments across the county work tirelessly to educate the public about fire hazards, emergency preparedness, and fire safety practices. Now therefore, I, Dennis Travis, Mayor of Halstead, do hereby proclaim the week of October 5th through the 11th, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city of Halstead, and urge all residents to charge into fire safety by taking steps to safely use lithium-ion batteries in the home. Let us all commit to preventing fires and protecting our homes, our communities, and our loved ones. So that's my two proclamations for tonight, and we'll move on to governing body comments, and tonight I'm going to start with you, Jim.
Thank you. Just want to encourage people to get out to the arts and crafts and for the sale down at the Riverside Park and partake. It's always nice to see a lot of vehicles up and downtown and to interact. Also had a citizen contact me about North Street's progress, and I figured I would ask Ethan to comment on that when we get done with our part here. If you don't mind. Okay, that's it. For me.
Charlie.
I would encourage everyone to attend the upcoming festivities. I had a patron contact me, and I talked to Pat a little bit about it, but I think it probably needs to go over there. What happened to the J-turn signs? Ethan?
Several of them were in need of replacement, and we removed them.
Took them down?
Yep.
Are they down for good?
We are currently reviewing.
I mean,
to
I
see-
understand how difficult it is, and it is. It's, somebody's got to be there to see an infraction. That happens all the time. But as I mentioned before, honest people will comply. But if we don't need them anymore, and we don't need them anymore, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, we had no immediate plans to restore them. I mean, if the
Okay.
governing body would like to restore them, we can. We just, with it being a time and place.
No one has asked me to replace them, so they just wanted to know where they went. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
All right, George.
Yes, I've had some requests from, I'd say about 4 different citizens in the community about potholes in alleys. One of them would be between Chestnut to the alley west of Chestnut, south of Second, between Second and Third Street. They've got potholes there. The other one on the east, bordering the First Mennonite Church just south of Scout Park. Several elderly people, they park in those handicap spots there, and when they go out through that alley, and there are several potholes there that they can just have some gravel dumped or something just to get rid of them. I've got some in my alley that are pretty big, and I'll just take care of them myself. But yeah, I've been getting requests from citizens, specifically those 2 right there, between Second and Third, west of Chestnut, and the alley immediately east of the First Mennonite Church are the requests that I've gotten. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All righty. Well, we will move on to Ethan for the city manager report.
Thank you. City staff continue working with KDOT on the Safe Routes to School and Innovative Technology grants. Staff are currently finalizing agreements on the Safe Routes to Schools, including our hours and costs for the construction, engineering, and inspection on that project. And bid letting for that project is still, excuse me, on schedule for October, with anticipated construction to physically start around March of 2026. City is awaiting final grant documentation on the Innovative Technology grant, and then hopefully we'll be able to work with PEC on getting a firm start date for that project. Excuse me. Regarding current street inventory and condition assessments and GIS mapping. With the Safe Routes to School project scheduled for bid letting, Lochner will also be advertising the South Sixth Street sidewalk construction for the construction of new sidewalk west of Cedar Drive to the Halstead Housing Authority. And we hope to have construction take place around the same time as KDOT project, but it could be sooner as it is a smaller project. Staff participated in a cyber risk assessment with K-Camp, our property and liability insurer, and we'll be working through the recommendations for improvements that have been presented, but overall, it was noted that Halstead had clearly made strategic investments in protecting our IT infrastructure for a city of our size. To Councilmember Van Scoy's question, the North Street project currently is still in preliminary engineering, and they're hoping to finalize the final utility and then the easement with BNSF, which working with the railroad has been positive, but it also is a lengthy process.
That's what I told them.
So, and we have a significant, because it's running parallel to the tracks they're working with that easement. Tomorrow, I will be participating in the KMIT Association Health Plan meeting, where we will receive our actual renewal rates for our 2026 plan year. Again, anticipating those to be around the 10% mark. Staff have made contact with and will be working with the Halstead Senior Center on a potential seed grant application for this year's fall's round of funding for that program, and hopefully some improvements needed at the senior center. Did want to note, you do have the financial report through the end of August. With it being so close to the end of the quarter, we'll present a more comprehensive financial report to you all next meeting that encompasses all of the third quarter. The city has also hired 2 new administrative part-time employees. One is working in City Hall, and then the other will be taking over the police department and court clerk role. Again, those are both part-time, transitioning from what were previously full-time positions. And then the city also has hired a very part-time management intern, currently works 1 day a week, who will be working with department heads and myself on special projects for the city, and getting some exposure and learning about municipal operations while they are working on their MPA at Wichita State. And the city is still currently interviewing for the open parks position and the full-time police officer position that we have advertised. And those are the major updates I have, unless there's any specific questions.
No questions, council? Well, if not, that concludes our agenda this evening, and I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, council.
Thank you.